The first phase of workplace bullying is called the domination phase, and the objective is, as the name implies, to dominate the target. In this phase, workplace bullies use primarily one technique, the technique of mind games. You know how it goes by now, you know the drill. You meet a workplace bully once, and by the second meeting, he or she has a prepared speech. That prepared speech is often delivered in the third person about people, someone, a friend, or some other indeterminate third party. Alternatively, workplace bullies may use the first person and speak about themselves. Another form of mind game is asking you a series of questions to which the bully already knows the answers. Prepared speeches may be ready during the first meeting or before they even meet you, and these behaviors may be conducted in the presence of, or at least within earshot of, other people, usually higher ups whose opinions matter. For example, if you wear brown shoes, I can say, I have a friend who wears brown shoes and I just think she's so stupid. We all know that friend doesn't exist. The workplace bully is really talking about you and trying to send you a message. And the message is derogatory. So mind games look something like another workplace bullying technique, the technique of insults. The bully is putting you down, but doing so indirectly and passive-aggressively. Again, workplace bullying is different from childhood bullying because it's less obvious. No adult bully wants to do or say anything that could get him or her into trouble. Mind games are perfect for workplace bullies because it is impossible to call them on them. I wasn't talking about you, I was talking about my friend. Why do workplace bullies use mind games? They're angry. This person is mad as hell. Why are workplace bullies so pissed off? Well, somebody has just posed a threat. And that threat is to something called the narcissistic ego. So in order to understand mind games, it's important to understand narcissism. The Workplace Bullying Institute has stated that workplace bullies are not so much narcs as mocks. Machiavellian types who believe in a dog-eat-dog world and just want you out of their way. This town ain't big enough for the two of us. Although workplace bullies do exhibit Machiavellian tendencies, I still believe that they are narcissists, because if you educate yourself enough about what narcissism really is, the parallels with workplace bullying are uncanny. Narcissism is on a continuum, so it comes in degrees. But I do believe that all workplace bullies exhibit some degree of narcissism, and that in order to bully at all, you have to have narcissistic tendencies. Narcissism is a widespread problem that is often poorly understood, even by psychologists. Narcissism is not arrogance or confidence, and a narcissist will not necessarily present as arrogant or confident. A narcissist is not someone who likes the way they look. The narcissist is not that guy at the gym who likes to take selfies of his guns for Instagram. That guy may very well be a very loving, caring, and giving partner and parent. Briefly, a narcissist is a dead soul. Almost 100 years before Freud, Nikolai Gogol was already trying to tell us about narcissists. The narcissist has no real internal self. Instead, in its place has been substituted the false self, otherwise known as the narcissistic ego. The narcissistic ego is whatever the narcissist believes to be true about himself. It is a mask and a facade, and it is a house of cards. It's so incredibly fragile that it demands constant validation, otherwise known as narcissistic supply, which is simply attention. And because the narcissist with no real self no longer has any connection to source, the narcissist has to get that attention exclusively from other people. You have an ego too, we all do, but it's not all you have. So you can take hits to your ego and then bounce because you have a real internal self as a reserve. The narcissist doesn't. The ego is all he has. So if anything threatens that ego, the narcissist feels as though his life is literally threatened. The narcissist cannot live without supply any more than you can live without air to breathe. Threats to the narcissistic ego are narcissistic injury. And if that happens, the narcissist feels completely within his rights to retaliate, just as you are within your rights to shoot an intruder inside your home. That is called narcissistic entitlement. So a mind game is the narcissistic workplace bully's sense of entitlement to punish you for the narcissistic injury that you inflicted on the narcissistic ego by not providing the narcissistic supply. There are two ways a target of workplace bullying can inflict narcissistic injury on a workplace bully. Either you didn't validate the narcissistic ego, or you took up too much of the supply. The narcissistic ego, the false self, the mask, the facade, again, is whatever the narcissist believes to be true about himself and demands that you believe as well. Demonstrate that you believe it or prepare to be punished for ripping off the mask. The narcissistic ego varies from narcissist to narcissist. It could be his talent for his work, but most often I find that it's not work-related. Because workplace bullies operate on such a low level, it could be nothing more than sheer physical or sexual attractiveness. The narcissistic man may not necessarily be hitting on you, but really needs to know that you are interested and available to have sex with him should he so desire, because he is God's gift to all women and can have sex with any woman that he wants, regardless of the fact that he's married. And the really trashy, mean girls, the basic bitches, just need to be the hottest girls in the room. The narcissistic ego could be his sense of humor, or it could be the fact that she's so caring and everybody comes to her for advice. But whatever the ego is, it's always superlative. I'm number one. The smartest guy in the room, the funniest guy in the room, the nicest woman in the room, and of course, the most popular. Workplace bullies are hierarchical, not lateral, and they are not okay being okay. If you are not a narcissistic workplace bully, number one, you don't compare yourself to other people, and number two, you are lateral, not hierarchical. I'm okay, you're okay. I'm not that great, you're not that great, and that's fine. We all bring different things to the table, and the diversity and plurality of the team that we create is beautiful and a source of joy. I have a theory that most targets of workplace bullying are empaths who are targeted by narcissists. If you are a target of workplace bullying, my guess is that you are more sensitive and intuitive than usual, and you may very well be an empath. And empaths are averse to inauthenticity. The reason you're not buying the narcissistic ego is that it's disgusting. It's like, come back when you're real. You're thoroughly unimpressed and uninspired, and it's so nauseating that it can make you literally physically ill. In the past, I thought everybody felt as I do. I thought everybody was equally repulsed by the narcissistic ego. And despite decades of being bullied by hundreds, not dozens, of people in the workplace, that number is not an exaggeration, I'm still learning. And on one of my most recent workplace bullying experiences, I came to the realization that most people really don't have a problem with the narcissistic ego. It could be out of some emotional or spiritual laziness that they just don't dig that deeply, or they're just generally comfortable with ego. But the reason that narcissists walk around with this ego and keep trying to shove this BS down your throat is that that shit works with everybody else, but it doesn't work with you. And not enabling the narcissistic ego and not feeding the narcissistic supply is essentially like putting a gun to the narcissist's head. The other form of narcissistic injury in the workplace is when the target gets more supply than the bully. Supply, again, is just attention. In the mind of a narcissist, there is no such thing as bad attention. All attention is good attention because attention is love. Narcissists conflate love and attention. Love is a noble goal, and it can improve the quality of your life, and the desire for it is perfectly understandable, but attention is not love. Attention is just attention. But narcissists don't know the difference. And again, narcissists do not understand lateral thinking. Workplace bullying at its core is just sibling rivalry. Disrespectful children in dysfunctional families assume that their parents are so stupid that their parents are not capable of distributing love or attention equally among multiple children. And it's exactly the same thing in the workplace. Any attention that you get is taking attention away from the narcissist. In other words, depriving him of his supply, which is essentially akin to cutting off his supply of air. Another thing that workplace bullies do not understand apparently is the first law of economics: scarcity, unlimited demand, limited supply. Competition for finite resources like land or water is understandable. But things like attention, approval, and admiration are not finite resources, they're abstract concepts. They come from the universe, and the universe is infinite, and the universe provides. So there's an unlimited supply and plenty to go around. If you compete for finite resources like land or water, you are a human being. If you compete for abstract concepts like attention, you are just crazy and stupid. So here we see an important component of all workplace bullying, which is unnecessary competition. If you are not a bully, you understand that if you get attention one day for one thing, somebody else can get attention another day for another thing, and it's all good. In the mind of a narcissistic workplace bully, however, anything that you have, they don't. Again, as narcissists, bullies are disconnected from source. That connection has been completely severed. So narcissistic workplace bullies do not understand infinity. Long story short, workplace bullies do not play well with others because they don't share. There's a problem with mind games, and that is that they don't work. Again, the objective of mind games, like the objective of the entire domination phase, is to dominate the target. But the kind of domination that workplace bullies really want is spiritual dominance, which is impossible. I've often asked myself over the years exactly what kind of response to their bullying workplace bullies expect to see in the target. And the answer is none. Again, workplace bullies have no spiritual awareness, knowledge, or wisdom. So they are operating on a completely unconscious level. There's not a lot of thought that goes into any of this. And workplace bullies are narcissists. So it's just all about them, and they're not thinking about the target at all. A narcissistic workplace bully is simply a wounded animal lashing out in pain, doing whatever he feels entitled to do to protect his narcissistic ego. So that explains why workplace bullies so often seem surprised that you don't seem to particularly like being bullied. Your only response to the mind games is the same response that you have to all workplace bullying, and that is one of general sadness. It's just disheartening and discouraging to see that there are people in the world who are that sick. It's just like, oh my God, you're fucked up. Who fucked you up, and why did you let them? Another problem with mind games is they have created a manipulative society. There's just this kind of paranoid suspicion that everybody is using little stories to send everybody else messages all the time. Workplace bullies have to use mind games to get what they want because what they want is bullshit. If you are not a bully, you have the luxury, freedom, and privilege to speak from a place of authenticity, integrity, sincerity, and honesty. If you're like me, all you want is to be paid what you feel you deserve for the good work that you do. And you want to work in peace. And I think the right to work without abuse is a universal human right. If you are an honest person, be prepared to be accused of manipulation anyway. It's like, no, I wasn't talking about you. I really was talking about my friend. Mind games, like all workplace bullying, are at best disturbing, but if you get hit with a mind game in the workplace, consider it a warning. This person has just fired the shot heard round the world. It is a declaration of war. Workplace bullies bully because they want attention. Well, they got it. This person has just exposed himself as an abuser and is now on your radar. Your porcupine quills and your antenna are up, tracking this person because it will only get worse. Their attempts to dominate do not work, and narcissists do not tolerate anyone or anything in their environment that they cannot control. So they have to move into the next phase, elimination. You have to go. So let the games begin. So that's an introduction to the workplace bullying technique of mind games. To read more in detail, I've written an essay on workplace bullying. It's on my website, and I include that information in the description. The reason I do these videos is not to get subscribers, although that would be nice, but instead to create a forum where targets of workplace bullying can share their stories in a kind of support group. There are two benefits of support groups. Number one, to know that you're not crazy. Workplace bullying is real and your feelings are completely valid and justified. And also to know that you're not alone. Unfortunately, there are countless others who have had similar experiences. So I look forward to reading your comments, and I promise to try to respond to all of them. Take care.